Welcome back, everyone, to episode 15 of the Film Room Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Baress, along with my co-host, Joby Fawcett. Joby, how's it going?
It's going quite well, Joe. As you know, I'm extremely busy on what has been a very tight schedule.
Certainly.
For this week, without getting into too many details for those who don't understand, but I'm certainly trying to do quite a bit of work in a small window of time.
Joby, don't you have to have like Saturday's paper done by tonight or something?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to explain. In fact, when I read my instructions, I still don't understand.
That I totally understand. I'm glad I'm on vacation this week.
Yes, it's a good thing for you, Joe, to take a little time off, a little break,
That's
get
right.
a little breather, recharge the battery a little bit.
You know it.
I am not, however.
No, you never do. So let's go over to someone else who's working hard in preparation for this week. Quinn Pucilowski from Riverside Football. Quinn, how we doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Quinn had an interception and forced 2 fumbles to lead the Riverside defense, which produced 6 turnovers to help the Vikings beat Williams Valley 28-21 in the PIAA Class 2A quarterfinals. That earned him this week's Athlete of the Week. Let's start there, Quinn. You know, you guys obviously have been known for having a big time offense, but we've kind of been talking about it on this podcast all year at how good your defense has been. What makes your defense so formidable? Why are they so good?
Oh, I think we're one of the most physical defenses. I mean, we got some studs on the line there, up front. We stop the run very well, read our keys very well. Our DBs are doing their job in the back.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
let me ask you this. You are a very versatile guy on that defense. You're playing with a lot of emotion. Tell me about how this defense has kind of responded to the challenge that Coach Harry Armstrong presented you following the Week 10 game against Lackawanna Trail.
Oh, we definitely turned up everything in practice. I mean, we played with a chip on our shoulder after that embarrassing loss. I mean, I think it really shaped us as a team.
Yeah, definitely. Talk about playing at Riverside, Quinn. I mean, what is so great for playing for the Vikings?
Oh, there's definitely a great culture. I mean, all of us are close-knit guys, and we're friends with each other, hang out all the time. And I feel like there's that chemistry there, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Quinn, let me ask you this, because you and I spoke earlier in the year. You're a very versatile athlete at Riverside. I believe you were at one time a running back. You've played some linebacker, obviously. You've been willing to go onto the offensive line when Coach Armstrong needed someone to fill in there. I know you had a jersey change against Lackawanna Trail. You had initially been wearing number 55, and you went back to your old number 26, which is my favorite number. You're just willing to do anything. Tell me where that mentality comes from.
Well, it's definitely I want to win. Like whenever I go into a game, I need to win. Like I hate it when I lose. So I'll do everything that it takes to get the win.
Yeah, Quinn, let's talk about it. Obviously, you had to step in at guard this season. You know, how much work went into that for you? I know you said you kind of enjoy playing the position, but what work went into that?
I mean, I definitely had a slow start to it. As I grew into the position, I mean, I got multiple weeks under my belt of experience. It really came together for me, and I started clicking, and I've been loving it. I embrace it now.
Quinn, I have been kind of putting some stuff together here this week in preparation for your big semifinal game against Troy. And I wanted to get a sense, and maybe you can help shed some light on this as well, as to the process that took place at Riverside in rebuilding the tradition of this program over the course of the 3 years you and your teammates in your senior class have been with the program.
Okay. Well, my freshman year, it was the end of COVID. And as soon as we were able to get back together, I mean, we were always lifting, all of us guys, like lifting every day after school. It's not just a season that we're working all year round. And that really helped build the culture, and like we got closer as teammates because of it. And that's what I think the culture is, how it's been.
Absolutely. Quinn, obviously now you guys are, preparing for the state semifinals. What do you know about Troy, and how are you guys kind of preparing?
Oh, they love to run the ball. I mean, we can't count them out in the pass either. They're a very good all around team. They play very physical. I mean, we're just gonna have to out physical them ourselves.
Quinn, how special has this been for you to experience this? It's always something that you shoot for or aim for. Every high school football player would like to enjoy a season and the kind of success you're having. How much fun have you and this group been having this year?
Oh, we've been having so much fun. I mean, this goes back. My brother was the last team. He was on the 2010 team when they went to the state championship game. So it's definitely more special to me, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of throw you a curveball here, Quinn, I saw it in your Athlete of the Week interview that one of your favorite teams is the Seattle Seahawks. I'm just curious, how do you become a Seahawks fan?
Me and my dad, we like the Seahawks because my grandma, she was a big Seahawks fan. So we kind of take after her.
That's real cool. That's real cool.
So Quinn, I will tell you, I have a little bit of sympathy for you when it comes to being an NFL fan, only because I'm a Los Angeles Rams fan, and anytime your favorite team plays out on the left coast, they're not always on national TV that often. So I'm sure you probably subscribe to the NFL Sunday Ticket, but I'm unable to do that. So I certainly sympathize with you there. But we've had some pretty good matchups, the Rams and the Seahawks, over the years.
Yeah, Quinn. So you are also a Penn State fan, obviously very, very big in the area. What do you think of them so far this season? One blemish, but they pick up, they barely sneak by Minnesota, but obviously they're a very, very good team. What do you think of Penn State this year?
I mean, I always love Penn State, but I feel like they have an inability to win very big games. I don't know if that's coaching. It's just every year we can't win that one big game that we need.
Well, you certainly have won some big games this year, Quinn. Let's talk a little bit more about the journey to where you are right now. Obviously, during the course of the year, you had some big matchups, including a big win over Old Forge. I know it's not much of a time to reflect back upon it, but as a senior, just how cool are those types of experiences, having a win over Old Forge in that rivalry game, winning a District 2 championship with a win over Dunmore, which you had not done in your career. So kind of what are those memories for you right now?
Oh, Old Forge is it's always a great game. I mean, the rivalry we have, there's always a different energy in practice. Like everybody wants to get after it because it's rival week. It's one of the funnest games in the crowd. It's spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. I apologize, Quinn. Did you say your brother played for Riverside?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you kind of take from him? Has he kind of inspired your football career at all?
I take from him, like, he was a very good player for what he played. He played in the 2010 team. He went to the state championship. He definitely was a role model for me. And I've always wanted to be better for him. So it's kind of better than him. So it's definitely something like I have a bar to go past.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that going to be a discussion at the Thanksgiving table?
Oh, definitely. I have some talk about that. Last talk.
Listen, that's great family stuff right there. When you get a chance to still be practicing and playing a sport you and your brother both love, and you get to enjoy family at Thanksgiving, it's a very good experience for you, and certainly enjoy it, Quinn. So, look, you're going to have that little bit of a distraction there where you have the Thanksgiving holiday. How are you going to be able to maintain your focus? What are you going to do to kind of enjoy family time, but also remember you have to play Friday?
I mean, definitely, I'm not going to overeat or nothing. I'm going to, what I need, not anymore, because I don't want to mess my body up for the game. I gotta stay disciplined on that. And we got practice early in the morning, so.
I was going to say, I saw that you're practicing and everything. That's fantastic. So I guess there'll be no football game in the backyard for Thanksgiving, right?
Probably not.
Quinn, I have to apologize because Joe is definitely going to overeat. So don't you worry. He'll make sure he makes up for anything you kind of hold back on. Okay.
Absolutely will. All right. I think that's all I got. Joby, got anything else for Quinn?
Quinn, I just want to wish you the best of luck. You're a tough, hard-nosed player. You're willing to do whatever it takes for the team. And I remember your brother was a similar mold there back in 2010. Give it a heck of a shot on Friday, all right?
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, Quinn. Appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right. That was Quinn Pucilowski, our Times-Tribune Athlete of the Week.
So I'm sorry if I give away your dietary, secrets out there to the listening audience, but I know how you tend to like the Thanksgiving holidays, the Christmas holidays, anytime you can kind of saddle up and just to enjoy the festive moods of the holiday season.
Joby, it's only fair. How many times do I give away things about your life on this podcast?
Well, listen, that's okay. Secrets are okay if you use them in very small doses.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So Joby, obviously we talked to Quinn a little bit about, the quarterfinal win that they had. They're getting ready to face a really good team in Troy, but we talked about it all season, but what kind of impressed you? I know you weren't there, but what kind of impressed you about, obviously Riverside as a whole this season, but getting this win here to get to the semifinals.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you, of course, you mentioned that I was not at either football game this weekend for obvious reasons. We got hit with the blizzard of 2024.
That's right.
Here in Scott Township, and the schedule was postponed the game to Saturday, and I had a previous engagement on Saturday that I could not and refused to get out of. So, look, my thoughts are this: I don't like to pat myself on the back because I don't really know a lot about other teams, but I had a feeling Riverside was gonna advance.
Yeah.
I think this team. It's taken on a little bit of a different identity in the postseason based on what I'm reading with the statistics. Coach Harry Armstrong has really kind of dialed it back offensively, and he's done what his team, I think, really does well. And what you need to do in the playoffs is not be overly risky with your offense. And he's decided, hey, I'm going to run the football with Chase Tedonio, my all-star quarterback who's thrown for more than 5,000 yards in his career.
Right.
And he's kind of gotten himself behind this offensive line with Tavion Branch and where Quinn Pucilowski comes in. And he's also had this defense really rejuvenated. I'm telling you, Joe, sometimes when you get one handed to you, and Riverside did against Lackawanna Trail, that was a pretty good beatdown that as a group, a defense will tend to respond. It could go one of two ways. It can go positive, where you kind of understand that could happen in any type of season, and how can we build and improve on what we learned in that loss, or you could just be in the tank. And clearly Riverside has built and tried to improve and has become very aware of what they should do or what they need to do to succeed in the postseason, and that is create some turnovers, limit the offensive yards rushing given up, and just play real tenacious defense where you're all swarming to the football. And that's been a great formula for success. And here Riverside is going to be taking on Troy in the semifinals.
Absolutely. Joby, 6 turnovers. I mean, you're gonna win that game. You win the turnover battle. You're gonna win. And I think this is, it's just a great coaching job from the staff, and it really doesn't just reflect on them. It obviously reflects on the players. I mean, we've talked to Quinn, we've talked to Chase Tedonio here on the Film Room podcast, and the team has bought in and really obviously executes in every phase of the game.
Yeah, extra possessions, Joe.
Yeah, that's it.
You're just giving yourself a better chance. You had a big lead in that game, and even though Williams Valley was going to try and make a comeback, if you're still turning the football over, those comebacks are hard to come by.
Exactly. So, yeah, I just want to step in, Joby, and say this is literally like the Saturday was like the only day that you ever take off. So it just bad luck.
Yeah, Joe, it's interesting. So we knew coming into Saturday that I wasn't going to be available because that was the first day since July 31st where I did absolutely zero work. And I mean that in every sense of the word. I got up Saturday morning. Somehow I was able to get to Bethlehem for the Lafayette-Lehigh game on Friday night. Now, we, of course, lost power here in Scott Township. thousands of people did not have power for 48 hours. And I was among that group, my family. But more importantly, Joe, the funniest part about that whole scenario last week was, and I've had people making fun of me for days on end. In addition to my fraternity brothers and college football teammates down at the Lafayette Lehigh tailgate. So I do have a snowblower, contrary to popular belief. But
However,
a couple of years ago when we got blitzed with a couple of snowstorms back to back, if you may or may not remember, where we got hit with about 6 or 7 inches, and then a couple of days later we got hit for 6 or 7 more inches. And I had gotten so frustrated. I had, how you have one of those pull cords that starts the snowblower.
Sure. Yeah.
I had ripped it right out. And I had enough. I was so aggravated, and you have to start the snowblower up so many times.
Yeah.
I ripped it right out of the motor.
Oh my God.
But fortunately, Joe, I have the electric starter, so I can just plug it in. And so I think I'm brilliant. I'm a smart guy. I don't have to get it repaired. Because when will I ever need to have that pull cord in the snow thrower again?
Right.
Well, I needed it on Thursday.
Yeah.
Did it on Friday.
Yeah.
Because I had no power.
No power.
Well, I had no way to start the snow thrower. And so I did what any moron would do under those circumstances. I went out and started shoveling.
Oh my God.
So I was exhausted, but I got down there, had a great time on Saturday, literally got up early in the morning. We went over to the football game. The game starts at noon, so you're there early. And after the game, we get together. We have a gathering at my teammate and fraternity brother Tim Monsman's house, and it was a nice day. So I literally did no work. It was the first day since July 31st that I did no work whatsoever. And we had 2 great football games here where our teams were competing. Unfortunately, Scranton Prep did not win, and Riverside did. So we kind of got a little bit of good and the bad. But congratulations on a great season to Scranton Prep as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Joby, I mean, they obviously, again, our colleague Sam Freeman was at both of those games, but, Scranton Prep is only losing by 7 in the first half, and you lose your star quarterback to injury, Lewis Baress, and it's just, what at that level, playing obviously the quality opponents that we've discussed. I mean, what are you going to do? It's just really disappointing. And I hope that Lewis can recover as quickly as possible. Obviously he's a multi-sport athlete, but yeah, I mean, great season by Scranton Prep. Obviously disappointing that that's the way it ends, but hopefully they could look back on it and realize how great a season that they had.
I think those kids at Scranton Prep will be able to do that for a couple of reasons. One, it wasn't like Scranton Prep was 12-2 and had to squeak by a couple of games.
Right.
There were some games where, I mean locally, obviously the games they played out of state were a little bit closer, but Scranton Prep was clearly the number 1 team in our area. And so they're going to be able to look back upon that and say, we really did all the hard work we put in. The goal is to, if you think you have the kind of talent to an experience to challenge for a state championship, obviously that's something on your bucket list and your checklist of goals. But you can walk. You're going to be disappointed naturally with any type of loss if you're a competitor, and the Scranton Prep kids are very competitive. But what they achieved this year, and really the last 2 seasons, just incredible to get to the quarterfinals in Class 3A. 2 years ago, beat Newman Goretti on the road in the state playoffs, which is a great accomplishment. Just happened to run into this Northwestern Lehigh team, Joe, and I think I had mentioned it last week on the podcast, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just a little bit different style down there in District 11.
Yeah.
Those teams in the Lehigh Valley really play an up-tempo and a very highly competitive 12 weeks of football in that District 11. And, I had, again, I have a connection down there. I mentioned already Tim Monsman coaches at Parkland. His team has been brilliant during his tenure there at Parkland. And he used to coach at Liberty, won a state title at Liberty. But I've stayed close. I went to school down there at Lafayette. So they do just play a different style. Now, obviously losing Louis Paris, when I read that, I immediately reached out to him and wished him well.
Yeah.
And just listening to him in the podcast last week, he's such a well-spoken young man who's been brought up so great by his family there. He'll do fine. He'll get through this. Any type of injury is devastating, and that kind of emotional loss for Scranton Prep is going to be something that's immeasurable in a game like that against an extremely talented team in Northwestern Lehigh. You pointed out the game was a little bit closer than the final score might indicate until that point when Lewis was no longer there, and then they really struggled offensively against a quality defensive opponent. But yeah, great job by Terry Gallagher and his staff and the players there at Scranton Prep. I got a chance on Sunday, Joe, which is another funny story. What a great weekend for me. I got a chance to chat with Ambrose Rossi on Sunday and just told him how impressed I was with him and all of his teammates and the great season that they had.
Yeah, absolutely. Because basketball season's coming, Joby.
Again, Joe, you can't shoehorn in the crazy weekend starting on Thursday night when this snowstorm hit that I had. It was just incredible. And yeah, you're right. Basketball season is right around the corner. I woke up on Sunday to a text message asking if I knew about the Coaches versus Cancer High School Basketball Media Day at 11 a.m., which I did not know. So I hopped in my car and, I had to do kind of an exit stage left, unfortunately, from Bethlehem and kind of get home as quickly as possible. I went straight to the media day and Scotty Walsh, our colleague there, Joe, he had been kind enough to kind of pick up the writing part of it. And I just did the video work there for the social media sites because, I wasn't briefed. I wasn't ready. I was out of town. And Joe, quite frankly, I spent the better part of Friday just shoveling. It was 8 hours worth of shoveling.
Yeah.
And then
pictures were ridiculous.
I got 21 inches of snow.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you may have been seeing some of the maps out there with the snow totals.
Yep.
I was smack dab. My house, I might have been right in the cyclone part of it. It never stopped snowing.
Oh my God.
Oh, so that's 21 inches of snow we got at my house.
Yeah, we might have got 6 in Scranton.
That makes me feel a lot better.
I'm sorry. Didn't have to do is see what I can't imagine, Joby, is that that amount of snow here, it was heavy.
Joe, it was heavy.
So I can't even imagine what it was up there.
Joe, the worst part about it was I went out, and you've never been to my humble abode. And you have an open invite, but please call first.
Fair.
I did a pass, okay, and it was heavy. The snow was very heavy. Full disclosure, I got a little help from my neighbor across the street. He came over and he was kind enough to snow blow like a little path for me to be able to kind of start. Because if I had to start from scratch right from the get-go, I would have been in deep trouble. There was no, how you have to kind of start and then push.
Oh, yeah.
But the snow was so heavy you couldn't just kind of push it along like a snowplow. I had to literally lift and throw.
Right.
And I had done an initial pass. I got to the opening. Thank goodness the road crews did not do their traditional bypass.
Yeah.
As soon as I broke through the opening of my driveway to blow it all back into the
Right. Exactly.
That generally happens every time I go out and clear my driveway. But no, so I did one pass and then I decided, okay, I'm going to take a break. And it wasn't stopping. It just would not stop snowing. So I had to go out and do a second pass, and so I had to do the entire driveway again from start to finish. And yeah, it was a long process.
Yeah. Oh God, Joby. So yeah, but you got through it. So that's good.
Yeah, but Joe, you're right. Look, we're in the heat of this football playoffs, and basketball starts Friday night.
Exactly. So, well, obviously winter is here, and yes, obviously with it comes another slate of sports. So, Joby, I don't have much more to really talk about here as far as high school sports go.
Yeah,
but
before we cut out of the high school sports, I do want to say that Be patient with us as we're closing out these fall sports seasons. Okay, we're going to try and get these all-star teams and all-region teams together for people. I know there's a lot of athletes who've been over for quite a while and trying kind of chomping at the bit here to get their postseason recognition. Those things are coming. We're just in a very strange transition period here right now.
Right.
And we're trying to get ourselves through it. And heaven forbid I took 24 hours off and try to gather my senses. And who knows, I didn't do much of that on Saturday. But we're working on it. We're getting ready. We do have basketball games coming up this weekend, some preseason tip-off tournaments. It was pretty neat, Joe, to be involved in the basketball media day, even from a different perspective where with Scotty picking up some of the assignment, I was able to kind of chat with people rather than kind of, it's just a different kind of style when you don't have to write.
Right.
And I got to just kind of talk to some guys and some players. And you remember, Joe, last year in basketball, we had 3 teams play in Hershey at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Mountain View is up in Class 2A this year after getting to the Class 1A semifinals 2 years ago and the Class 1A final last year in girls basketball. So that'll be interesting to see how Mountain View adapts and adjusts and matures and competes at the Class 2A level. We know that Scranton Prep has all 5 of its starting lineup back for the classics. They'll be a contender in Class 4A. And Holy Cross, Joe, your alma mater.
Alma mater, you know it.
All 5 starters are back for the Crusaders.
Yep.
But they're also moving up to Class 3A this year, Joe. So that's going to be very interesting between Holy Cross and Riverside. Now, Riverside's Richie Kostoff has to play football yet, so it's going to be a little while before he gets into the swing of things. And the Rose brothers are part of the football team as well. So we'll see how long it takes for Riverside to kind of get its season going. But yeah, we're going to be getting right into basketball season here Friday night.
You know it. And then shortly after that, wrestling will start holding some tournaments and some non-league matches the following week and the following weekend. And, wrestling just keeps getting better and better in the area. So I'm obviously very excited for what the season is going to bring. So as always, there'll be a quick transition from the fall to the winter. Just like the seasons actually go, Joby.
Yeah, Joe, that's what's happening. You think you can pump the brakes a little. You really can't.
No.
But I will say this, Joe, I am curious because we do have this podcast where we kind of have some fun and when we joke around with each other. And you are extremely passionate about sports. There's no question about it. The Packers with an impressive win over the weekend. And I know you enjoyed every second of that.
Sure.
Over the 49ers. It doesn't make up for the losses you've had in the playoffs the last few years.
No,
listen, you take the small victories and enjoy that. But the other passion that you have is kind of reviewing movies.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention this because, I want to be able to promote the other part of your personality that's out there, Joe, is you have a real wit in these movie reviews. You and Rebecca Kivak, who do a great job of giving a real neat local perspective on big budget and some independent films as well. So you have you're doing a crazy thing this weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right, Joby. I'm glad you brought this up. So if everyone remembers, and I don't know why they wouldn't because it just happened last year, but Oppenheimer and Barbie were released in the same weekend and it became this phenomenon, Barbenheimer. It's the perfect marketing of, obviously, there's a target audience for Oppenheimer and there's a target audience for Barbie. So, everyone can be pleased when they go to the movie theater. Well, last weekend and obviously going into the Thanksgiving weekend and Thanksgiving Day, always a great time for movies. We have Wicked and we have Gladiator 2, Joby.
Mm-hmm.
And so Rebecca and I, we decided to review, one of us reviews one of them and one of us reviews the other. And that review is out there right now. I reviewed Gladiator 2 and Rebecca reviewed Wicked, and we're going to switch next weekend so you can see how we both felt about the 2 films. But we did want to prepare our audience for going into Thanksgiving saying, like, here's here's what we're looking at as far as these two movies go. And I am pleased to report, I mean, go read the review, obviously, on the Times-Tribune.com/take2. But, you know, I really enjoyed Gladiator 2. Rebecca thoroughly enjoyed Wicked. So those are two really good options on Thanksgiving. Also, Moana 2 comes out on Thanksgiving. I enjoyed the first one. So there's a lot of options for Thanksgiving, but I really love having the opportunity to review movies as well, and especially on big weekends like this. So, Joby, did you like the first Gladiator?
I did, Joe.
Yeah.
I thought Russell Crowe was excellent
Yeah.
in the first Gladiator, and I'm actually into those types of period pieces that you tend to lean toward as well. So, but I want to tell our listening audience here on the podcast that I do take your recommendations, as you know, Joe. Now, do I always agree with you? No.
Yeah. Yep.
My taste in movies is a little bit different than yours at times. You know, we both have a little bit of an agreement and an affection toward the Marvel movies.
Of course.
Even though I'm an old man at this point, and still going to see comic book movies is a little bit shameful on my part. But I do take what you and Rebecca offer as criticisms and critiques, and whether good, bad, or indifferent. And I try to keep a level head. Now, I just went to see a movie, Joe, recently, if you recall.
Yeah, I believe you saw Conclave, right?
Conclave, upon your recommendation.
Yeah.
And I thought you did a good job with that movie as well. And that review. And I came away giving it about 2.5 stars.
Okay.
So
I didn't think you'd like it, Joby.
Well, see, that's where I'm saying you and I do have some similar tastes in movies. So it was a little slow for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I will, again, there is a little bit of an infantile kind of approach to movies that I take, unfortunately.
An infantile approach.
You know.
Oh, you cracked me up, Joby.
But I'm just saying, I do read your reviews, and I think people, if you're a moviegoer, you're trying to look for something to do on a weekend, and you know, go by the two, you guys both do a great job on that.
I really appreciate that, Joby, and you know, again, while we're on it, I just want to at least say, you know, because I'm sure that, you know, obviously Gladiator was a hugely popular movie back 24 years ago.
I wanted you to mention that, Joe.
Yeah.
Because, right? No, listen, it's not easy to do a sequel that far in between, because you're really kind of looking to attract a different type of audience, because 24 years is a long time.
Exactly, Joby. And like, I think that while I enjoyed it, I think it had enough good stuff. Obviously, whenever Denzel Washington's in a movie, you know, he's gonna kill it. You know, I never saw Paul Mescal in anything, and I thought he was excellent as the gladiator figure. Pedro Pascal, Connie Nielsen coming back. I think there was enough there to make it, you know, obviously, am I not entertained? I was entertained. But, you know, I could see people going either way on this one. I guess it depends on how they feel about, cause is it a necessary sequel? No. Does it have enough in it where it's entertaining? It's extremely well shot. There's good performances, and there was enough there for me. I had a good time at the theater, so definitely take that under consideration if you're going into not that it's a family film, but you know, if there's just a bunch of older family members, give it a shot. I mean, I thought it was pretty good, but yeah, and again, Rebecca really loved Wicked, and I think that is going to be the movie that we will see on Thanksgiving after we have the turkey. So we'll see.
Joe, no, I don't know how well do you react to the turkey tryptophan. I mean, I know you like to nap without the effects of turkey. So
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. We like to have like a post meal coffee to keep us going. You know? So that's kind of how we try to handle it. Get a little sugar in us, and see if we can make it, because, if we have the opportunity, we love to do the Thanksgiving meal, and then we like to go out and see a movie if we can. Obviously, if with work, it doesn't always get to happen, but this year it will. I was going to say, I'm on vacation. My sister was able to get off. Also, who is anyone actually working on Thanksgiving this year? Don't you have to have that paper done?
Again, we're about confusing. But anyway, so I'm working. That's all you're
Yeah, I was going to say, I should stop bringing it up, but
I'm working.
Yeah. Joby, what's your plans for Thanksgiving?
Well, if I ever get done with all of this work, we're big family tradition. Again, Joe, my family Megan is home from New York, thank goodness, and we've had a nice time kind of catching up with her. But she brought us a little bad luck. We had a flat tire, picked her up from the bus stop, and then with this big blizzard. But we always like having her home. Grace is, of course, here working. She's on break from the University of Scranton. But we're going to get together with the family, have some dinner. But I enjoy football on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's just been a tradition. For years, the Lions were terrible, and I still like watching the Lions.
Yeah.
Just because of the tradition of it. That's kind of crazy football fan that I am. And of course, now we have 3 games on Thanksgiving. I'm not so sure we can qualify the Dallas Giants game as a football game, but we're going to probably watch it anyway. And of course, you have the night game as well. But
right.
One of the things for me, Joe, is kind of Thanksgiving weekend is a good weekend because it kind of gives me a chance to. General rule, we either have a game on Friday in the state football playoffs or have basketball going on Friday. And at some point here, I try to take a little bit of a breather, and that's usually this Saturday.
Sure.
And I get to get caught up on all the big college football rivalries that are going to be taking place this weekend, one in which features your favorite college football team, and that being the Michigan Wolverines. No. Now, Joe, if you have any pride as a Michigan Wolverine player, as in the defending national champions,
yep.
What a way to spoil Ohio State trip to the playoff than by knocking them off on Saturday.
Yep. Oh, that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be great for you, Joe? What a perfect weekend.
Seriously.
You're on vacation. You get to kind of tailgate by yourself there at the island in your kitchen. You can kind of set up a little bit there and
exactly
get your Michigan Wolverine bandana on and everything. You'll be all set.
We'll go into the driveway. I'll bring the cooler out to the driveway.
Absolutely. Get some chicken wings out there and get a little Barbie going, and you'll be all set.
That's right. Yeah, Joby, it's you're right. I am looking forward to it. I do not expect Michigan to win. It would be great.
Like an attitude going in.
It looks like the spread is -21 for Ohio State. I might take that.
While we're on the case of college football, nice of Penn State to squeak by with a fake punt against Minnesota. Okay, and they're in.
Yeah.
Penn State's in now. That win clinched it. It doesn't matter what happens here this weekend because Penn State's going to be in there because Penn State's going to be there. I mean, I want to inform all of the college football fans out there who want to believe that this playoff format was set up for teams of equal talent to have chances to make the playoffs. It is not.
Yeah.
This format is designed to make sure at all costs that the teams that have outstanding followings get into the playoff. Now, that's not a reflection on Penn State at all. I'm talking about the flooding of support for the 8-3 teams out of the SEC, which includes Alabama, which includes Ole Miss. These are teams that showed that they're among the elite. They're getting into the playoff, Joe, and you're going to have a week's worth of people yelling and screaming about the SEC doesn't deserve. This format was not set up for teams to get in just because you're good.
Right.
Or you've had a good season.
Right.
This was set up to make sure that we have a playoff and that these big ticket advertisers and these TV contracts are fulfilled. and eyes go to the television. And in order to do that, you've got to have Alabama. You've got to have Ohio State. You've got to have Penn State. And I'm not saying they can be 6-6 at the end of the year, or they can be 7-5. But if you have 9 wins, I think your ticket is fun.
Right, absolutely. And obviously Notre Dame, Joby, who's conferenceless. I mean, they want Notre Dame in there as well.
Well, Joe, that's part of the reason why Notre Dame will not get into a conference. Why?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to.
Nope. Doesn't have to. Yeah, they're gonna have a loss, obviously, to Northern Illinois,
Which everyone's forgotten about.
Right, which everyone's forgotten about, and that's gonna be their only loss. But that's a bad loss. Yet they'll be there, and you're right. They're able to get these programs in with huge followings, and I couldn't have said it better myself, Joby. That's exactly what it is. I think too, Joby, the college football playoff rankings just came out. I believe Penn State is still number 4.
And Penn State's going to win this weekend, Joe. Penn State's a good team.
That's
Penn State's team.
That's correct. No, yeah, in all seriousness, Penn State does have a good team. They should have beaten Ohio State. They did.
I just find it funny now that one of the attacks onto Penn State was its schedule. Well, listen, the schedules are the schedules. We know that the schedules are going to be the beginning of the year. What you don't know at the beginning of the year is that Alabama's going to lose to Vanderbilt.
Right.
That Alabama's going to get crushed by a bad Oklahoma team.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You don't know that going in. So naturally, there's not this big outrage or criticism, even Indiana for that matter. Okay.
Right.
College football may want the Cinderella story of Indiana doing well because it brings eyes to the television during the course of the regular season. But under no circumstance do the big advertisers want Indiana playing in the college football playoff over Alabama, regardless of what Indiana's record is.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And looking at the college football playoff rankings right now, Alabama's at 13, Joby. They're right on the outside.
Where it wants to be.
Exactly. So you're right. They'll sneak in. Ole Miss is 14. But yeah, Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3, Penn State 4.
No surprises.
Yep. Notre Dame 5, Miami 6, Georgia 7, Tennessee 8, SMU 9, Indiana 10, Boise 11, and Clemson 12. So there's your, if the season ended today, which obviously it does not, there's your 12 teams. So, but yeah, it's funny. You mentioned Alabama and Ole Miss, and there they are, just barely on the outside.
But they're not really on the outside looking in.
That's right.
If you look at it, obviously there's some automatic qualifiers for the playoffs, so that's going to be different. And Alabama and Ole Miss's ranking could change after this weekend because if both of them have good wins this weekend,
right?
And you don't know who's going to get upset and who's not, but I'm telling you, the college football committee, the people who were in that room, proved last year when it decided.
Oh yeah.
That Florida State with an undefeated record, regardless of who was playing quarterback. Joe, they could have rolled you out there playing quarterback.
I know, right? I know.
They were not
undefeated
in that playoff over Alabama because it just the optics weren't good. And I felt bad for Florida State, but I was on the record. I said, "There's no way Florida State's getting in over Alabama. No way."
Yep, exactly. So, Joby, I don't see Michigan in this top 25. What's going on there?
Well, Joe, you have 5 losses.
You're right. That's a problem.
I told you can't be 6-6. You can't be 7-5. No, really.
That's right.
Those are the numbers. And Joe, listen, when it goes to 16, and it will expand to 16, because now you've got some people out there, some college football analysts out there saying we can't be given automatic berths to the conference champions when there are teams that are not going to be conference champions that deserve to have the bye. Again, going back to saying, well, if Georgia doesn't win the SEC championship,
Yep.
Georgia still deserves a bye over, let's say, Boise State or whoever gets the bye automatically. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So you're already highly critical of the format to begin with. So we're going to have 16 teams. There's no question. And then team 17 will be aggravated at the end of the year.
Right.
But that being said, the magic numbers at that point, and every college team will know at that point, if you're not a blue blood and you have a record worse than 8-4, you've got no shot.
Right. No, you're absolutely right, Joby. So, but yeah, this is absolutely an exciting weekend of college football, and we'll see how it plays out.
And Joe, I've got to keep my mind on basketball too.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I mentioned earlier, we're going to tip off this season. I want to, of course, point out Abington Heights starting the J.C. Shao era.
Yeah.
As the head coach there. I got a chance to chat with him at media days, but that was pretty cool. No, because I covered him.
Yep.
But what was a neat exchange was I had an opportunity, just as I was leaving, I wanted to say goodbye to the Valley Boys basketball coach Michael Abda, because he was the one who alerted me to the fact this media day was being held on Sunday. Otherwise, I would have been, out in the cold, not knowing it even existed. But we were having this conversation that there were three coaches there: Trevor Tella from Lakeland, Michael Abda from Mid-Valley, and J.C. Shao from Abington Heights. And what's funny is, and of course this is happening more regularly now that I've been around 29 years, I covered all three of those coaches when they were athletes.
Yeah.
High school. And now, they are all coaching. If I dig deeper, there's probably a dozen, if not more, who I covered who are coaching now, both boys and girls basketball. But what's interesting is, and Michael Abda pointed this out to me even before the season started, he's one of the senior coaches in the Lackawanna League now with Kenny Bianchi here, and of course Al Calais leaving last year. I think Tony Bagley of Scranton is the senior most head coach in the Lackawanna League.
Wow. How about that?
Tony started when I started.
Yeah. Joby, what's crazy is that I covered J.C. Shao too back in the day. Oh no.
Yeah.
No. I'm starting to cover athletes who are now coaches.
Yeah, it'll really start to hit you, Joe. I mean, I think almost all the football coaches, or not all of them, but a good part of the football coaches, the head coaches, I at least knew them when they were players. I either was a player against them or I covered them. It's happening more so in basketball than it does in football.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Joby, so on Sunday, I went to a Sixers game with my friend, and the Sixers got absolutely destroyed.
They did that for you, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we find ourselves in Philadelphia. It's about 8:15. There was a game Sunday night. I don't know if you watched it or anything, but.
Well, Joe, even though I was extremely, extremely tired.
Yep.
Because I did work on Sunday, as you know. I mentioned that immediately. I had some football stuff I had to get done. And then I found out, that everything had to be done last week. So for a game that hasn't even been scheduled yet. But yeah, I watched some of that football game on Sunday.
So Joby, there's this Xfinity Live thing kind of outside Wells Fargo and obviously in the sports complex in general down there. So I was watching the game amongst Eagles fans, and you'll never believe what happened at halftime. A fight broke out.
Shocking.
So I think that was our cue to leave. So we only stayed for a half and watched with the Eagles fans. But yeah, I got the full Philly experience on Sunday. It was interesting.
Well, that and then part of the full Philly experience is watching the Sixers perform at their absolute peak.
Exactly.
Process.
That's right. It. Keep trusting it.
A decade's worth of the process.
That's right.
To give you a little bit of a clue, and I know you're a big basketball guy because, that's your favorite sport among all of them.
Right.
The last time the Philadelphia 76ers won an NBA championship, I was 13 years old.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That's really telling.
Yeah.
That's really telling. I'm not going to say the year because I know the year. I'm not going to say.
That was during the glory days of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Of course.
The Sixers were in the NBA Finals in 1977.
Yep.
They were in the Finals in 1980.
Yep.
They were in the Finals in 82, and they were in the Finals in 83. Lost to the Lakers twice, lost to the Trailblazers, then finally swept the Lakers in 83.
Yep.
And yeah, I will tell the year.
Oh, yeah, trust the process. It's coming. So, but yeah, so it's been fun. Obviously, you said that my Packers got a big win over the 49ers. They're not so tough when they don't have Brock Purdy and a lot of other injuries. So it was, doesn't make up for the playoff blunder against them, but it's still nice, Joby.
Sure. And Joe, you've got to keep pace with the Lions.
Exactly. The Lions and the Vikings.
Yeah, imagine the Vikings. They'll fold their tents.
You would think eventually.
They generally do, yeah.
Exactly. So we'll see. But all right, Joby, I think that just about wraps it up for us. If you want to add anything else, feel free.
No, I'm ready. I'm good for the evening, Joe. I think Megan and I are just going to put a movie on here and we'll get ready for Thanksgiving coming up. I want to wish everybody who's out there listening to this wonderful podcast you put together, Joe. I'm so happy to be a part of it. And I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your families, folks. And I know we kid a little bit. We do put a lot of time in to our jobs here, Joe and I. And it is nice to be able to get it to spend an afternoon or evening with your family. So I want everyone out there, if you have that opportunity, take advantage of it.
Absolutely, Joby. Tell your family. I said happy Thanksgiving. I usually enjoy them sometimes in the background when they're when they're talking to you, helping you out with things. So
they tend to just shout expletives to me to shut the computer. And,
that's
funny,
fair.
Joe, it's funny today, Joe, and I will let you go. I know you're in a hurry, but I think I've opened and shut my computer 18 times today.
Oh, my God.
So it's just been crazy. But we're going to get done, and we're going to have a great holiday. And I want you and your family to have a good holiday and enjoy the movie on Thursday night. I know you like to go.
Yeah, absolutely, Joby. Thanks so much. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Thank you to Quinn Pucilowski for joining us for an interview to open the show. And obviously we'll follow along here, the Times-Tribune.com/sports. Joby's got plenty of stuff coming up this week, plenty of preview stuff about Riverside, and, we'll have plenty of stuff coming up as the winter sports season is here. So once again, thank you, Joby. I appreciate it. We're 15 episodes straight.